Hey there guys, Portal Master 9351 here, and I know I'm a little late, but in this video I want to talk about the cancellation of Disney Infinity and what it means for the industry as a whole. Before we start this video, I would like to point out that we may have a little technological error here and there. There's a spot right up in my screen right around here that it may start focusing, just like as if I was just tapping, and I'm not sure, and I actually know why. When my screen cracked and we had it repaired, the guy who repaired it may have done something wrong, and I'm getting these little glitchy taps on my iPad that just randomly happen as if I'm actually touching the screen. I don't seem to see any occurring right now, but they may happen later because this may be a rather lengthy video. So anyways, Disney Infinity has been canceled. No more Disney Infinity games. What does that mean? Well, it means we won't be seeing any more Disney Infinity games, and that's pretty much it, honestly. Why do I say this? Well, because to say that they canceled Disney Infinity is true, but it's not the whole truth. Because they canceled their entire independent game publishing company. So Disney has been making its own games under this company, part of Disney. But now they basically scrapped that and are going to be moving to, my understanding is, third-party developers. And I'm also stuffed up, in case you can't tell. Allergies are really getting to me, so if I sound weird, that would be why. So they didn't just cancel Infinity, they canceled everything, and that sort of makes it seem less personal, if you will. Now, here is an interesting thing. Disney Infinity, from what I've seen, has sold well. From my personal experience, no one buys it. I've seen 2 people buy Disney Infinity products on two separate occasions, one of which was launch day, and one was just one random day when I walked into GameStop. So, really, from my experience, they haven't been selling much, but apparently, according to the internet, they have been selling a good volume of characters. So, what does this mean? Well, they don't just cancel a profitable series, but at the same time, they canceled Infinity. So what does that mean? Was Infinity not making a profit? The answer is, yes, it was making a profit. But in the article that I read, it said that they had a very hard time doing the decision to cancel Infinity or not. And honestly, I really think that it was making big enough a profit where they had to weigh in the factors of, is it worth continuing to employ 300 people for one game? And I think their ultimate answer was, no, it's too much work. Because not only is money money, but time is money. And they did not want to waste their time in a video game portion of their company. They wanted to invest all their resources into other areas of the companies. Now, a while back, I had said something about a Disney Infinity and LEGO Dimensions united front taking on the Amiibo Skylanders, combination thing. And so, some people may say that point is now irrelevant. That point cannot be true because Disney Infinity doesn't exist anymore, and they can't fuse together, and LEGO Dimensions can't fuse together with something that doesn't exist anymore. And while that would seem true, it's not entirely true. Why do I say this? Because just because they aren't publishing their games doesn't mean no one else will. And so, I'm not saying that someone else is going to make Disney Infinity 4.0. I'm not saying that. But they could still see, okay, we don't have Toys to Life characters anymore, at least from our company. Let's have someone else make them. Skylanders definitely isn't going to make them. And Amiibo, there's not going to be, Disney Amiibos. Who's going to make them? Well, the most likely candidate would be Dimensions. It's pretty straightforward. And I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen. It definitely is less likely to occur now, but there is still a chance that they have Disney LEGO Dimensions characters. That's still definitely a possibility. It would just be a little bit different than the original 2 superpowers going against each other in sort of a Toys to Life war. My mom needs something. She just texted me and a notification popped up on my iPad, so I need to deal with that, and then I'll be right back. Sorry about that, guys. My mom needed to know where I had put her laptop. But as I was saying, it's going to be a different, if it does happen, the combined superpowers, it may still happen, but less likely, and it'll manifest in a slightly different way. Now, the question that a lot of people are talking about right now is, how does this pertain to Skylanders? Well, it sort of does. Like I said at the start of the video, it sort of does pertain to Skylanders, but not in the same way that a lot of people are saying. A lot of people on Dark Spiral right now are being very, very pessimistic, and they're like, oh, it's the end of the world, Skylanders is gonna die. And other people are saying, no, it's not going to. And I'm sort of in the middle. It's gonna die if it does some things, and it's gonna live if it does some things. So, how does Infinity play into this? Well, Infinity, even though it did appeal to, technically speaking, a different audience, it did still draw away from Skylanders. And I know that from watching the forums and seeing people talk about how great Infinity is, and how now that they've gotten into Infinity, they don't have enough money to buy Skylanders anymore. Well, so there were two types of people that Disney Infinity, or three types actually, that they were really appealing to. A, Disney collectors. B, Toys to Life fans. And C, gamers in general. New gamers, like 6 and 7-year-olds that were like walking into a store and are just now old enough to start making decisions on what they want. Now, out of those three types, then you look at the first one, Disney collectors. Well, Disney collectors never bought Skylanders to begin with. At least they probably didn't, unless they're hoarders, that just buy everything they can, like a collection figure addict or something like that. But for the most part, Disney collectors aren't going to buy from Skylanders, so it's not like they really ever competed for their money. It was already going to Disney. Just it depended on what product they made. So they don't affect anything at all. The other two do affect things, though. The second type I mentioned was the type that switched from Skylanders to Infinity. And quite honestly, I don't see a lot of those people coming back. They put so much of their money into Infinity, and they probably don't want to see the same thing happen again, and they've probably gone like, okay, you know what, let's just move on from this. Some of them may convert back to Skylanders. I'm not saying that won't happen, but for the most part, a lot of the people that totally switched will not change anything. The third type that I said, the new kids coming in, like 6 and 7-year-olds, saying, Mommy, Daddy, buy me this, would probably be more they'd probably be more drawn to Disney characters that they know and love than, oh, who's this guy over here that I'm not even old enough to read his name yet? You're obviously going to be drawn to characters that you know more. It's human nature to be drawn to what you're most familiar with. So, definitely, Infinity, in every regard, had Skylanders beat from the get-go in that. And Skylanders can now reclaim that. Because the thing about Amiibos is that although some kids will know, okay, that's Mario right there. That's Yoshi, that's Princess Peach, that's Bowser. I'm trying to think of some other non-Mario characters that they would know. But really, I kind of draw a blank. There's the Wii Fit Trainer, except you can't find her anywhere. Most of the other ones are more, I wouldn't say adult, maybe like teen games like that maybe a 10 to 15-year-old would play. Like Fire Emblem, stuff like that. You put some of the Pokemon too. They even have some of the Pokemon, but it's less of a known thing than Disney Infinity was. So I think that now, between the two dimensions, there's still dimensions, but between Skylanders, Amiibo, and Dimensions, the one that's probably going to appeal the most to a little kid right now is probably back to Skylanders, when before it was definitely Infinity. So this is definitely going to, in the long run, impact Skylanders, because as new kids age into their age where they can start playing rudimentary video games, or, easier video games, Skylanders is once again going to become the best choice for kids and parents. And honestly, a lot of people say that Giants was when the series saw the most growth, and that was back when the series Skylanders was already established and there was no competition, after that, there was less growth per game, and I honestly think that that has to go back to dimensions, detracting from that new, younger fan base getting drawn into the game. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the actual total life of Skylanders. A lot of people have been saying, recently it's in its dying stages, and I can't agree or totally disagree with that statement because it's not very clear yet. But one thing I know for sure is Activision has a history of saying, oh, you didn't sell this much stuff. You did not make an overwhelming profit margin. That's it. You're gone. Be out of here with you. They did that with Guitar Hero. They do that with all their franchises. If Call of Duty ever releases a game that's not profitable, I guarantee you they will either completely overhaul what they're doing or they will cancel it outright. That is basically classic Activision. Blizzard sort of does that too. They're sort of together.